where did it all start, right? Where did it all start? Hey guys, I'm Coach Kimmy, and I just wanted to come on here and just share with you, like, where did it all start, right? Where did it all start? How do you get a channel on YouTube? And I got my plaque. I'm so grateful for the plaque. 100,000 subscribers. I'm at 125. Yay! You know, it's dedication. It's dedication. It's mindset. It's learning how to, I want to say, you know, learn things you didn't know, right? I think in the beginning, I've been doing it now for 11 years. Yep. So, and I just hit the 100,000 subscriber. Just think of that, right? So it took me a lot of time, dedication. It took me a lot of also failing forward, you know, the things, what not to do. You don't even realize how hard that is. Like when you're doing something and you're just in the beginning and all your videos are like not super organized, they're not super clean in the background, there's no lighting, and you learn the hard way because you're trying and trying and trying and trying and trying and trying. And, you know, you're just like, all right, I don't know how to do this. And then you just keep trying, right? And, you know, you're trying to like figure out how come you're not reaching a lot of people. And maybe you don't have your hashtags right. Maybe you don't have the thumbnails right. There's thumbnails that you have to do. And also, you know, there's something called SEO. This is huge, guys. This is when I really start to expand and grow. So for the first, I want to say 4 years, it was all practice. Even though I posted stuff, I didn't get anywhere. You know, I didn't really get anywhere. It took such a long time of failing forward and learning how to do things the right way, right? And then I got a team, right? I got somebody that knew how to do SEO, search engine optimization. Because the thing of it is, when you just put things on YouTube, it just doesn't go to the right audience if you're not really intentional about doing an SEO, search engine optimization, so that you're hitting the right audience. Because people will just scroll right past you. So you really want to find the right people that are going to love your content, that are going to stay on your channel. So once I got the person that did the SEO, and then I got a new person to edit my videos, I started to take more classes on how to do videos correctly, right? You always want a clean background. You also want to practice how to be a speaker. You know, like I've been doing it for such a long time. It's very natural for me now. But in the beginning, I was kind of, you know, scared. I was sweating half the time because you're like, oh my gosh, like, you know, if you say things wrong or you don't do something right, you know, you could have strikes against you and things like that. So it's just a matter of learning from your mistakes. And that's, you know, I love, you know, failing forward. John Maxwell's, one of his books is Failing Forward, how we fail forward to get to the next place. I think it's so important to just never give up. You know, so right now I teach my granddaughter, there's a movie that I love, Secretariat. It's one of my favorite movies, because I feel like through my life, I had a hard, difficult childhood. And even though I did have a hard, difficult childhood, and then I went through life as a victim for so many years. And then when I was so now it's 11 years, I'm 55, so I want to say I was 44, okay, when I got my salon, and it was the transformation of my life, because I failed so bad that I really needed help. You know, listen, don't have any shame in needing help. I needed help because I didn't know what I was doing. I was a phenomenal hairstylist, right? And I left my salon that I was at for 20 years. I was at Gerber Salon. They were awesome, and I loved them, and they were my family. But this opportunity came my way, and I'm telling you, it was such a miracle how I got my salon that I knew it was God. You know, like when God steps in, you don't even realize the ride that you're in for. But he just stepped in and kind of handed me a salon. And I remember thinking, God, this is too big of a gift. Like, first of all, I don't even know what to do with it, because I own a condo, but I don't know how to own a business. But every door flew open. You know, I had a friend incorporate me for free. She was a lawyer, and they were at my church, and I knew them very well. And the woman that gave me the salon, I mean, she didn't know me much at all, but she didn't know me at all, except from somebody else at church that said, oh, I know that Kimmy is a hairstylist for a long time. She might want the salon. And I remember thinking, when they first asked me, I was like, no, I don't want it. No, thank you. And I thought, oh, I'll just tell my boss. But then I forgot. And then they asked me again the second week. And I think by the third week, I had asked a friend, hey, could you come with me to go look at the salon? Because they keep asking me. And I thought, let me just go look at it. And then I came, and they're like, okay, well, it'll get handed over to you, you know. And I just thought, the wife doesn't want it, because the guy had passed away. It was a very tragic thing. He was very young, 57 years old. And his name was Brian Watson, and it's Modern Techniques Salon. It was called Techniques at the time, but I wanted to change the name to Modern Techniques, because everything gets modernized the more that you learn new things. And I'm a grower and a learner, and I've always learned how to do, you know, expansion, like expanding yourself, growing more, getting stronger, and never giving up, right? You just can never give up. So anyway, and I got to get back to that story about my granddaughter. But anyway, so that's how I got the salon. And I felt like Secretariat in that movie. It was a baby. So you want to think, like, 11 years for me, like all those years before that, like I never grew emotionally and mentally. So I feel like in 11 years, I became like a Secretariat. I just ran so hard into my future self of like becoming strong, learning how to lead myself well, learning how to pour into myself. I didn't even know what that even meant. I remember one of John Maxwell's books said, like, you have to write 100 good things about yourself. I remember thinking, what? 100 good things about myself? Listen, it was hard for me to say 5, because I feel like sometimes we're so unaware of our value if you've had a bad childhood. So I was so unaware of my value because of my childhood, because it was tragic. And I did write a book, Tragic Beginnings to Fairy Tale Endings. And the subtitle is Dreams Really Do Come True, because I've created my own dreams. Do you understand? Because I've learned how to get out of victimhood from my past. I didn't let it dictate my future. And of course, I would never be here without God's help. I'm just going to tell you right now, there's no possible way. God is always for you, never against you. And I'm going to tell you, without him, I couldn't have made it. So he was my strong rock and my strong support system to help me learn to believe in myself. You know, so I just kept doing the work. Like Secretariat, this little baby had a special dad and a special mom horse that made this miraculous horse that just went like when he won the last horse, that, like, first of all, he wasn't even, you know, everybody didn't believe in him except the woman, right? Where my God believed in me, right? He believed that I had so much more potential. He handed me over the salon. He set up everybody. That was a golden link in the chain of my good, right? He put all these people in my life that didn't even know me. And it was just such a miracle. I remember even when I first got the salon, I wanted to give up and quit, because the 2 girls that were here that brought in good money left. And I was like, oh my God. But in 6 days, I had a whole staff. You know, people that worked with me at my old salon had left and went to other places, and they all came from all their other places and came here. So we all became like a little family. And then the friend that had given me the salon, she's like, I'm going to put money in your checking account that you never have to worry anything. I mean, she put like $25,000 in my checking account. I paid her back, I think, a year later. But I remember thinking, these people don't even know me. But how awesome, because my God, he was my support system. So with this horse, the woman believed in that horse because her dad taught her that this is going to be a unique, special individual. And it could make me cry. I feel like God made me a unique, special individual in spite of my past, in spite of my childhood. Like, that doesn't get to dictate me anymore. So that's why I'm so grateful. And let me tell you, that little horse ran 32 lengths ahead of the #1 horse back at that time. And it was a baby. So I feel like I'm a baby, kind of, in a sense that, like, the last 11 years, I've become so strong emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, and financially, as opposed to like all those years, for 44 years of living as a victim and never stretching and expanding emotionally or mentally. I didn't know how. I didn't know, you know, that I could, until I got the salon, until I like fell flat on my face and I didn't know what I was doing. And then I feel like I became a little Secretariat, I just dove into the like leadership training. I joined the John Maxwell online. For me, it was a university. I did DISC behavioral assessments to learn to teach my team how to learn who they were, to learn how to lead themselves well. I had to learn how to lead myself well. I know another great book of his was The Developer, basically he tells you all the time, the hardest person to lead is always yourself, right? So I think that's the most important part of how I changed and how I grew and how I got strong, was I had to learn to lead myself. So once I learned to lead myself, then I was able to overflow into my team and help them learn to lead themselves, right? We always want to make and empower people once we're empowered. And so that's what I did. And that's how I got this beautiful salon. And then even through that whole time, I started, my channel. And I always knew it back then. Even when I first started with my good friend Jessie, I was like, Jessie, we should be making videos. We know so much good stuff about hair. And I remember when I left my other salon that I was at for 20 years, Gerber Salon, which I loved them so much. They were just such a strong, stable support system for me too, for learning hair, because she always did classes. And listen, that's why I always have done classes for the last 11 years, done classes throughout all those years. Class after class after class, we do, salon meetings, and then the next one will be some kind of skill. And it's important to grow your team. It's important to love your staff, and it's important to learn to get along. That's why I did the DISC behavioral assessment. I became a trainer and a consultant of it. And then I taught them so that they could get along better. And trust me when I tell you, when you learn somebody's DISC, it's called DISC, personalities, and there's a Myers-Briggs that's similar to that. It's just funny how me and my daughter, because she's a peacemaker and I'm a transformer, but I'm a high I and she's an S. So an S is a steady, stable, status quo. They're people oriented, but they're reserved. Where I'm a high I, I'm outgoing, and I'm super people oriented. So she would say to me sometimes, Mom, you're being a high I right now. And listen, because I've learned it so well, and because all my girls learned it so well, they knew what that meant. I knew what that meant. That meant, Mom, be quiet, stop, relax, calm down, be more peaceful. And then sometimes I'd say to her, Heather, get out of your S. Get out of that S. Because S's love comfort. They do not want to stretch and expand. So that's why you have to motivate a team, right? You have to learn to motivate them with their language, not with your language as a high I. I had to learn their language. And there's 69% of S's in this world, just saying that's the most dominant of the 4 personality styles. And we're all a mix of them, usually 2 or 3 of a combination. And we've taken it a couple years after and we both changed again, because you can. You're never set in one kind of personality. You're basically learning who you are, your strengths and your weaknesses. And then the things that you want to focus on is your strengths, so that the weaknesses start to get less and less and less, because you get more stronger, and then you start changing. So it's just very good. It's very amazing. So I just wanted to share with you just my journey and my story about, getting the YouTube channel and my salon, and how to do videos, and, how do you get on that, YouTube. You just can't give up. And that's another thing with the Secretariat. I'll finish with that. So Secretariat, the mother, at one point, like, she was calling a whole bunch of people. First of all, her mother died. The father took the farm over, and it just was a lot of work. He started getting dementia, and so he started to really go. And then he died. So now she was in a place. Now Secretariat was starting to win many little races, where I feel like for me, I start to get ground after 2 years of really absorbing and soaking into all this incredible knowledge and wisdom of how to grow as a business owner and as a person, and how to get out of victimhood. Those are the most important things that I really had to learn. So then, as she's trying to think how she's going to take over this, stable for her dad, because this is a special horse, remember? And, she called so many people. She had the woman that named the horse Secretariat. She was the secretary of her father, and she became her secretary. And then she had somebody else help her, this young boy. So they were all day long calling people to support them. And no. Like, all the papers were like, no. We called like 500 people, and they're all like, no. So she goes into the barn, and this is such a great part. And this is what I taught my granddaughter. And my granddaughter loves the movie Secretariat. And the horse's name is Big Red, but she's so sweet because she's like, Mimi, I'm not giving up. Because that's the special part in there. So she's walking in this barn and she just looks out in the meadows and she's just so defeated. She's just so sad to think, I know that this horse was special. I know that there's a purpose and a plan here, but I just don't see it, right? And so she had a little memory for a moment that when that horse was born, it stood up right away. Stood up right away. And the trainer said to the other, did you ever see that before? He's like, no, I never had seen that before. And she goes, what? And he's like, I never seen a horse stand that fast. So she also had to remember, like, this horse is special. And just like I want to tell you, you're special, you're important, you're valuable, you matter. So she goes in that barn and she says, I don't care how many times they tell me no. I don't care how many times they say I can't do it. I am not giving up. I will not live in fear for the rest of my life. And we're going to see that horse run and win. And we're going to do it rejoicing every day. And then the secretary says, amen. So it's such an incredible story. And I know that you have a story too. So I want you to know that your story matters, you matter. And I hope that on my new channel, Coach Kimmy Mindset, that you know that I am going to put out so much good content for you to get healthy emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, and financially. Because when you get this mindset right, you can do anything you want. So thank you so much for watching and staying here all this time and for all these great stories. And I appreciate your support and your love. And this is how I got started. So I hope you don't give up and you get started and you keep going and growing in whatever the desires of your hearts are. Have a great day, guys. Coach Kimmy here.